So what has this, peace be upon you, this Pluto direct in Aquarius, then with Venus in Libra, beautiful trine, revolution, truth and power shifts. I have to, for once, entirely agree with these beautiful points here. So it was right at the end of the Sukkot. So it is about gratitude, whereas Pluto stationed direct in Aquarius, setting a global tone for transformation, innovation, and awakening. This is one of the defining astrology events of the decade, a collective rebirth that invites us to rethink how we live, lead, and love. So we had this energy all throughout. We saw it within the midst of our collective. We debated these changes in our lives, and so on the 14th, we had Venus in Libra to form a trine with Pluto, blending depth with beauty and revealing how love and collaboration can help rebuild the world. Together, these transits form a cosmic bridge between power and purpose, truth and connection, revolution and renewal. They go hand in hand. Understanding Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius marks transformation through innovation and truth. As the planet of power moves direct, reflection turns to action. Outdated systems, technologies, and ideals begin to break apart, revealing what no longer serves humanity. This is a shift from silent unrest to visible reconstruction. We had this energy of courage and so on. A push to rebuild society with purpose, intention, therefore. Pluto in Aquarius asks us to rethink how we use power and integrity. We always said that there is no power unless you have integrity, unless you stand in your own truth, and power in and on its own rather comes as a burden and responsibility. The best leaders are those who do not want or seek to be leaders. They're born as such. So how we use our power and why we create, aka manifest. Progress now demands integrity, collaboration. We saw this energy as well, a need to collaborate and work, and vision for the collective good, and also to again start manifesting something based on a collective dream, something that we are constantly revealed to actually dream together, envision together, need collectively to see manifest the changes that we need to see, we need to bring about in the world. So heaven on earth. Truth, power, and revelation. We've had that energy as well about the revelation. Last evening I tried. Sadly, though, I realized that, yeah, many are not ready because it keeps getting reported, and many are yet incapable. They will get there, hopefully, sooner rather than later, because they cannot really manifest unless they understand or see the falsehood, the deception. We're going to get to that as well. What their role models and idols are, what their conditionings and how they've been shaped and limited by beliefs, by other people's views, by previous generations' karmic challenges, and so on and so forth. As Pluto moves direct in Aquarius, truth, power, and revelation, therefore, truth can no longer be ignored. Secrets surface, and information, once dismissed, now gains new credibility. So if something as for example, last evening's topic comes to the surface, now you at least owe yourself the freedom to try and investigate, entertain the possibility, even if it appears as conspiracy theory. Oh, it's too ridiculous to be true. And there, if you really want the truth, you gotta get yourself out there. That's the whole concept of free thinking, right? But I see that there's much limitation in that regard as well. There's a lot of conditioning. They've been working overtime to keep people stuck in boxes, and so very few will be able to actually pierce through the veils of deception of this realm. Yet we're doing it, right? Slowly but surely. So the secret surface and information, once dismissed, so as you know, crazy or gains new credibility. So we gotta reveal it. Even if you're gonna get smacked back down, Many of us will be labeled as crazy, as delulu, as too out there, as controversial or problematic, or, you know, off our rockers, and it doesn't matter. We got to take those chances and bring forth something that we've tapped into or acknowledged or recognized as a deception, right? Institutions and governments confront their shadows as control gives way to accountability. Power shifts from the few to the many. This exposure serves as purification through truth, renewal through revelation. Hence why spirituality that elevates the self to the detriment, or as if it's separate or outside or irrelevant to the collective, I don't promote it, I don't endorse it, and it's actually quite toxic and problematic. But yeah, everybody has the freedom. If you navigate towards that, the new age spirituality that actually, you know, elevates the self, but not to the merit or benefit of a collective, then yeah, you've made your choices. Because that's not where we're heading. You're going to be quite lonely over there and left behind. Just know that, okay? There's no place for egoism as we move forward. Words lose power without action, though, so practical applied inside spirituality, and logic becomes the language of trust. Institutions and governments confront their shadow as control gives way to accountability. So these conspiracy theories all of a sudden actually start making sense. People are able to interpret them differently, and if they go back, and even if they go at it just strictly rationally and reanalyze that information, it's gonna click back into place and say, wow, how did I not see it? It makes absolute sense. Then again, many will be led astray with under the same guises, because if they look for synchronicities, and they'll find them everywhere. So there's going to be a lot of bias as well amidst. It goes with the territory as long as we continue pursuing for the truth. Power shifts from the few to the many. So systems, culture, and accountability. Pluto's forward motion challenges the world to redefine what holds value. So talking about values, back to the topic of yesterday's quote-unquote call to reveal, once again, call towards investigation, inquiry, and spiritual discernment, to pull a veil over something and try to see how many can actually see it. Sadly, again, there's a lot of work in that direction. Still, deception controls this realm very strongly. But hey, we keep trying, right? And the systems of values that most people are suffering because of not being able to hold up to, or are actually corrupt. Many of them, based on genuine values, have been misdirected, misplaced, misused, abused, and so on. Values now tie in with materialistic pursuits or desires, egoism, and so on, division, greed, so on and so forth. Economies shift. So we're looking at the macro here as well as the bigger picture, not just as cells, but also individual bodies and so on. So countries, lands, nations, peoples, collectives. So everything is shifting as the meaning of wealth and material success evolves. Rather, everyone is called to check back in with themselves when it comes to actual genuine needs and priorities versus desires, many of them instilled or induced via programming due to our tendency to idolize the quote-unquote self-proclaimed gods of the world, of this world, right? The fallen. And they set up the trends, they set up the system of values, things we should aspire to, how we should look or dress, or what we should eat. The power they hold is unimaginable. No wonder the collective, once you dare to call them out for something, will rather go against you, their brother and sister, just for, bringing something out. What if, right? Rather than they will defend them. That's the whole point of idolatry. They will defend their idols. Make no mistake, you will be hated if you call out someone, for example, for not being what they claim to be, and so on. Reality is crazier than fiction. Brave New World, yep. So economy shift as the meaning of wealth and material success evolves. Structures built on illusions begin to crumble, making space for fairer system and shared prosperity. We talked about this, right? Resource-based economy. Celebrity culture dims its glitter, stripped to reveal authenticity. What you're looking at is monstrous, but it has this glare over it. False light, the false idols, the gods of this world. Whereas you've gotten to be mesmerized, to worship them to a point whereas you yourself don't even understand why. It's also happening within the online environment, in that dichotomy where someone is proposing themselves as a creator or influencer, right? A public persona or personality. And same toxic parasocial relationship is happening there, amidst the creators that have been pushed and propelled to the forefront for a reason. The great creators, sadly as well, are great deceivers. They're plants. No one gets this big unless you fit the narrative. You are useful to be utilized by a system that's built on illusion. Whether it's Mr. Beast, it doesn't matter. But people still take things at face value. They do feel a connection. They live vicariously. The problem is they aspire, because it was presented as being something good, as something worth aspiring towards, therefore throwing their own existence away as worthless because that one's better. And I may be aware that I cannot have it, but I can live through them, right? So structures built on illusion begin to crumble, making space for fairer system and shared prosperity. The celebrity culture dims, its glitter is stripped. You have no idea once you actually do connect. And the veils are stripped, and that revelation is going to be painful for so many, because you're going to look back and see how all the generations were shaped, from the suffragettes, from the social movements, from whatever, you name it. All you need to, even if you look just at the symbolism and you start noticing the signs, the symbols, even if they themselves may be completely, neutral, but looking at how they're using it, it means it's charged with a specific intention to keep the mass or a specific group. That's why there's so many, that's going to cater or shape a specific group, age category, and so on, as the generation in a specific manner. Don't think it's all random. They instill patterns within us. They affect our diets, our mentality, our emotional state, our relationships, our social life, our perception of God, faith, health, life in general, love, romantical connections, and so on and so forth. Wealth and prosperity. But most importantly, they play with our fears and desires. That's the dichotomy. Punishment and reward. And they keep us stuck in that. If you don't do that, you're going to be punished. If you say the truth, you're going to be punished. But if you do this, you compromise, you sell your soul, you're going to get rewarded. Who does that? Father doesn't work like that. Creator doesn't work like that. Influence now belongs to those creating with integrity and purpose, not to those chasing attention. A cultural reckoning or wealth or power or whatever unfolds a cultural reckoning unfolds, rooted in truth. We've always said that. Unless there's truth, you cannot build anything on it. We're done doing that. From Babel to here on, from Ur, the first empire, rebellion, renewal, and collective change. As Pluto turns direct, though, so here we are in that very energy. People unite to demand justice, compassion, we had that yesterday, equality, we keep seeing it when it comes to love and romantical partners. You are to move forward in order to get an equal partner, right? Complementary, etc. Doesn't matter. But equal to you. Nature knows what everything and everyone needs or deserves, or so you gotta allow nature to do its part rather than you taking it upon you, knowing how biased we all are, how traumatized, how confused, how under psychic, energetical, biological, environmental attack we actually are. Then accept that and allow nature to do its part. You gotta have faith in the processes, in natural order, divine intervention, right? Because if everything is to be restored, everybody's gonna be led exactly where they're supposed to go. But if they resist and they still hang on to other concepts, ideas, or they're consumed by desires instilled within them, by traumas and pain that they cannot seem to heal from, then, just flow with it. Try and don't resist. As it is, what do you have to lose? What you've been trying, or you've been convinced to try, or to aspire towards, or want, or it hasn't worked. So let go and let God, literally, but also more importantly, learn to understand that you are a cell within a body. You don't exist in a vacuum. The loneliness epidemic is another thing that they've managed to do with promoting of individualism, the dividing, the separating. And in Kabbalah, we do the exact opposite. We seek to connect the sparks back. So in a natural manner, everybody will connect with a specific group of sparks. Others, they won't be compatible. You just keep flowing. Don't hang on. Don't have resentment. With some people, we will not divide. Just be led toward your crowd, your family, your friends, your colleagues. And so you gotta have the courage to get over whichever self arises when you have you meet someone and you have a problem interacting with them. Get to working on that, okay? Get uncomfortable. Many of you will be put in that position because you will need or require help. Or in other cases, you will have such a powerful vision, but you cannot do it on your own. You may have the vision, someone else may have the finances. You share the same vision, and much like in the Three of Pentacles, for example, you may share the vision, but you are not supposed to do it all entirely on your own. Okay? Because otherwise, again, it breeds egoism. You have to have a connection with the very people that would benefit, with the people that have the capacity, like left and right, to work with you. That can be starting off as a collaboration, then it turns into something more important, like commitment, whether it's because you build a business together, whether you embark on a journey together, whether it's a romantical partner. Turns out that you found your soulmate while you were literally engaging in the great restoration of the world by doing your own part, heeding the calls, allowing yourself to be led, and being true to your nature, and so on. So people will unite to demand justice, compassion, and equality. Compassion towards the actual vulnerable, not tolerance towards the problematic, okay? There's a difference. We have to redefine it all. And equality doesn't mean equality of form, because we are not equal. Each of us is unique. But the system makes it possible for all of us to get our turn on the wheel, for all of us to get our fair share in our given time. There's no more competing. There's the beauty in the uniqueness of each of us. So equality means in possibilities, in obligations, in rights. The laws are the same for all of us. We are not all the same, right? And we do have free choice. So equality in the sense of everybody having the right to be exactly what they are, having the right to express themselves as long as they don't transgress or impede anyone else from doing the same thing, and so on. What's worth for one, it's worth for the other. If one suffers, we all do. If one succeeds, we all do, and so on and so forth. So transformation spread through collective courage. Uprisings evolve into organized movements of creation and repair. Again, the great correction. They use repair, we use correction or restoration. The tikkun, right? Aquarius energy fuels innovation in activism. Here we are. I had to do this. I'm an activist. You know, the one at the in the shadows, so to speak. It's how I've started activism. I was very young, around 20 years. And I was doing basically work in the shadows. And here I am, making a fool of myself online. And putting myself in danger. Because I was called to do so. And it's very highly uncomfortable for me. Again, the grand rising of the true leaders, of the intuitive introverts that Jung prophesied. He prophesied, well, he didn't, he anticipated, he understood the spiritual dynamics of the stages that humanity is going through, both individually and collectively. So he knew we would come to this point. Because the wheel spins only so far until it needs to go back, right? Or be restored. So those, the last shall be the first, basically. Those above come below, and so vice versa. So Aquarius energy, speaking of, very important, fuels innovation in activism, guiding humanity towards progress through... Just a moment. Okay, so justice, compassion, and equality. Transformation spreads through collective courage. We talked about this. Again, the courage to come at the forefront, to get over ourselves, our being uncomfortable, or uprisings evolve into organized movements of creation and repair. So we're speaking here about system being changed from within the system. You cannot just trash a system without having something to replace it with. It will happen, it's bound to happen either way. It's better that it happens consciously and with intention. What are we going to substitute it with? What are we trying to correct things back to, restore back to, right? How are we actually repairing, healing? And there has to be awareness, conscious understanding, collective agreement, right? We are one in heart and spirit, aligned in that vision and idea and dream and hope and need, moved by genuine needs. So that we know what we're changing it into. Because you cannot just throw down a government and then say, well, whatever, next, you know. No, you got to then take it upon you. Many people used to be like, politics, no, you're wrong. That's why politics was rather working against us all this long. Because it was completely foreign to us. We looked at it as if it was some form of a circus. That circus ruled your life, your future generations' lives, and so on, shape the system. You just complain about the symptoms, but you're not willing to understand that is a clear manifestation of your own needs, choices, inner, mental, emotional, spiritual states and desires. That's why they say that every land or country has the leader they deserve at any spiritual degree, because they are all different stages in the whole sense of diversity, right? One is the liver, the other is the kidney, the other is the heart, and the head, etc. So each of them will be corrected, and they're the different stages and so on. Some are things that need to absolutely not even be allowed to come into existence because of the actual vile nature that they embody. That is absolutely unnatural. Because it comes to power on bloodshed, sacrifice, and right. Remember, everything used by the powers that be is in its own nature ritualistic, and if you observe it even rationally, you're going to start seeing it. I'll give you an example. Go check Why do nations need flags, for example? And what does each color? Then you go into gematria or color analysis, all the possible spiritual meanings, and so on. The rainbow and analysis. Then how does that tie in with how they shape social engineering and how they shape the gender clashes and movements throughout the ages, and how did they end up, having us compete against one another, this great divide, whereas birth rate went down. They're stripping us from our possibility, right, or even willingness. They've convinced us to no longer want to have children or families or partners, or, oh, we're fine on our own. Yeah, that was necessary. We had to reach this point, only to realize, okay, we got to revert back. But this time around, changes need to be made from a whole different point altogether. Now the masculine understands the feminine better, and the feminine should be able to understand the masculine better. It's that integration of the inner for the predominantly feminine has had to integrate both her fallen, toxic, dark feminine and grasp the actual masculine within, first and foremost, right? So hopefully now we're going to build on genuine equality, not in purpose, because we each have our own set of natures and abilities, but as complementary, right? So that we can shape a new world, whether it's, you look at it as the binary code 0, 1, or we keep oscillating from one to the other. No, we need them both. Harmonize, they have to meet in the center. It takes 3 to manifest. If you look at the tarot card, you see both in the devil and in the, we used to be in the devil energy, right? Capricornian, bound by material, bound by mere covenants. That was the state humanity was in. Now we're moving, whereas there's a choice, right? There's a recognition, there's an acceptance, a higher form of a spiritual love and connection, whereas there's the Holy Spirit, the angel, right? The archangel right there in the middle. Whereas there was a force of darkness, of the lower passions, unalchemized, etc., trauma, pain, the fallen self, right, evil inclination. Whereas now there's the elevated self. But if the two did not do the work, did not achieve that spiritual degree, they cannot have that type of a connection. So the real power couples and twins and are brought together, guided towards one another. Because they have that degree now. They have also the desire to reunite from a place that's no longer one of needing to exploit or be completed by the other in the most toxic or egoistic of manners. Now it's merely for the purpose of crisscrossing and exchanging, and one fulfills the other and vice versa, right? So it's true, it's genuine love, whereas you seek selflessly to fulfill the other as much as possible, but not at your own detriment, but rather because of who you choose to be. Anyway, so organized movements of creation and repair, innovation in activism, guiding humanity towards progress through empathy and collaboration. Under this energy, the future depends on cooperation, not control. So again, whether it's relationships, whether it's relationship in between generations, because by the way, we have also an elderly abandonment crisis that's absolutely dreadful. Children, animal abuse, mistreatment of nature, and so on. Of ourselves at this point, of one another, of everything. We abuse or misuse pretty much everything. We're moved by egoistic desires, and we couldn't care less, or we detach from our own conscience, shouting, this is wrong, don't do it. Yeah, but it serves me well, I make some money. It serves me well, I feed my children. It serves me well, I will find a person. Tech, AI, and the human connection in Aquarius, Pluto direct accelerates breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, digital governance, and the online world. Innovation races ahead, forcing new conversation about ethics. That's why this needs to happen, right? So the actual desire and that spark in the heart of the humanity needs to rise somehow. And it usually tends to do that when they reach some form of a threshold. Now that they're presented with the AI, taking their jobs, attempting to kind of outright pretend to be us, right? Substitute us, then humanity shall rise, starting to redefine humanity, relationships, social dynamics, so on and so prosperity. The challenge is to evolve with technology while remaining anchored in empathy and awareness. It means we use it. It doesn't use us. It doesn't control us anymore. The awakening spirit and the collective heart. Now this is powerful because I've been speaking about this for years. We speak about the fact that there is such a thing as the collective soul, the Adam. The Adam Kadmon is the being. The Adam Harishon is the essence of said being, the initial being. Hence, we are all one in that sense. And it got scattered, that one initial spark, divine emanation, got scattered into many. So, hence the need for cooperation, reconnecting the sparks, reuniting, because none of us individually actually has a soul. We are spirits, divine sparks, emanations, but much like shattered glass, we need to put back that puzzle. Hence the need for connection. That's a given. So the awakening spirit and the collective heart, right? Because it's funny, because we always said, one in heart and spirit. We're trying to hold that vibration. Pluto's passage through Aquarius deepens the collective heart. Compassion expands as awareness awakens, urging care, generosity, and unity. Yet discernment, another thing that we keep, speaking about, testing the spirits, questioning everything, matters. Genuine spiritual growth coexists with illusion and performance. You see what I'm trying to say? They will still coexist. The same way uprising, it's fueled by egos and fears, and it's not rather moved by an intention to benefit, to protect, it's not moved by love and compassion for others, for future generations, or a need to protect the current ones and so on, your loved ones. If it's not moved by love, then it translates into absolute chaos and destruction. This will coexist with the other one that's rather meant to bring about genuine changes. Call the powers that be to accountability and so on. Give back power to the people. A power that they now take as a responsibility. They are willing and ready and capable to take upon themselves. Because it was easy up until now. Everybody wanted the government to do something. But then they had no solutions when it came to it. I don't know, just do something else, right? We just give us more, right? It's no longer, if the rising is no longer motivated by just mere self-preservation and interest, but rather, again, from a rather more form of a higher, selfless form of love, a vision, a common cause or goal, or then, that's going to bring about the positive changes, whereas the others are in charge of destroying what can no longer be brought forward with us. Genuine spiritual growth, sadly, we see it here. There's just a handful. The rest are all just even though they feel they've changed something in their life, in reality, they've just fallen into another trap. Illusion and performance, This transit calls for wisdom rooted in self-awareness, empathy without naivety, faith without blind trust. Identity, freedom, and expression. Pluto in Aquarius celebrates personal freedom and the courage to live authentically. We keep talking about this. Through expression, art, and innovation. The collective becomes stronger through diversity, not sameness. And again, another point I just made. Previously, each act of self-honesty, again, over and over again, we keep beating this with the hammer, becomes a ripple for revolution. Reshaping humanity toward truth, inclusion, and creative liberation. As old sister, creative being the main key, you got to break out of patterns. You got to you got to step one step at least outside of a comfort zone. Yes, there to be mocked, it will come sometimes with dire consequences. I guess I knew it was going to be bad, but not to the point where I would constantly be threatened and bullied and terrorized and constantly pushed towards unaliving myself, people actually wanting you to suffer, to unalive yourself, to consistently, you would have never really could have anticipated that level of an evil or would have been the possible consequence. I would expect in the bullying, the mockery that it happens when you are genuinely authentic and you are unpredictable to the most masses who seek predictability, who seek systems and order and strategies and keys and magical solutions and shortcuts, and you come like, you listen, there are none, this is it, this is the hard part, we either do it or we don't, and these are the laws, you know them, and you call them back to conscience, call them back to nature, to order, to natural order, not their own, not anyone else's, not even mine, not even yet who could have expected that you would have been, hunted down in this manner. Then again, is it shocking? No, it's not. So do expect resistance from those who are not ready, from those who individuate you as a problem in a system that's supposed to be shaped in the manner that they want it to, in a system whereas most of those around you, if you look closely, are consumed by egoistic desires. And if you look closely at them, they're not even genuine needs. They need that new car. They need to show up as more beautiful or more intelligent or above others or control or have power or have more options and more wealth and whatever. Those, obviously, if you say no to any of them, they will make it happen somehow. They're willing to go to any extent because these are people who will not take no for an answer. Sadly, amidst many of those who are now suffering and seeking for genuine healing and spiritual return to center and self and source, do not realize that that's the same thing that happened to them. That's the evil inclination that resists, depending on how far we've gone when it comes to the level of deception and darkness that we've descended into, deeper into matter and materialism. And so many in the spiritual community are moved by the same hurt ego, not hurt heart. Hurt egos. They simply cannot take a no for an answer. Now these people can be dangerous. It's the people that I've been working with, right? So of course they are dangerous people. So I guess to some level I expected it, right, that it would happen. But either way, and not to mention the other branch or category of those who do not even realize how far gone they are, and that there's really nothing we can do for them anymore. We can have some level of compassion towards them, at least by not interacting with them and guiding them towards other solutions. Spirituality is the last thing. You don't mix mental health with spirituality, even though we could get into that, but they do mix. But that's why they shouldn't mix. You divide and separate them and address the workings of the mind. So therefore, therapy, social systems of support, genuine resources, we need to work towards that, because this was another terrible revelation, that we don't really have them. Those that we do have all either got corrupted, need to be revisited, because therapy doesn't seem to be working, whether it's couples therapy or it doesn't. And how about the lack of social support systems, whereas people have been led into thinking that it's not worth building a support system around you, right? Because it requires effort. Does that mean I have to put effort in? Love them, be there for them, help in when they need help? Yes. Because when you need it, they jump in towards to help you. It's how it should be. Otherwise, it's unbalanced, it's unfair, it's entitled, it's toxic and predatory, and love's got nothing to do with it. To sit there and expect for the world to jump to your aid, whereas you yourself are not willing to simply be yourself, if you have the call to impart or share something that would benefit others, because all of us have had experience, wisdom that we've gained through the challenges, some small victories here and there. There has to be something, but then again, you have been invested with a set of skills, a nature to you. That's the blessing. It's you. You are the blessing. And if you refuse to impart yourself with the world, as you keep being cold towards it, and you just sit there in a corner, he's speaking of courage, individually and collectively. Look at everyone else. We're all doing it. Even though we're being blasted because of it. You have no idea what we've been paying for it. But we have to feel as if we're worth it, all of us collectively. We're making way for more light, slowly but surely, right? For more truth, for more discernment and authenticity and vision and genuine faith and hope and connection and love and compassion, and right? And therefore we gotta navigate the hells that we're currently in. Navigate the false light, right? They keep corrupting the actual genuine tools and truths. And so we have a lot of work to do, because look at the masses of people. Absolutely a danger to society, to themselves at this time. Broken to that level, and there's nothing anyone seems to be willing to do about it. Those who are supposed to, right? So what's the point then? Why do we have therapists? And if they obviously they're useless, that's on them as well, those practicing, to kind of realize that the system that they're functioning within, because there are good ones out there, but they're limited or restricted or have been shaped in such a manner, whereas the services they provide are either limited or conditioned in such a manner whereas they're no longer useful. So they keep betraying themselves first and foremost, whether they're doctors, any kind of form of a healer of the mind, of the body, of the spirit, doesn't matter. They're also called back to accountability, to integrity, to stay true to whatever they're called to do. That's genuine freedom. Every healer is going to be different. They have a different set of skills and is meant to heal a specific group of people. And how about all of those who've chosen this career for all the wrong reasons? Financial gain, for example, glory and fame. And how about them? What are we going to do about them? They're not supposed to be doing that, are they? Maybe they're supposed to be a painter somewhere. But no, here they are. They're doctors. How about the artists that are absolutely, completely useless? What are we going to do about it? Because they can shake their bum bum. So can we. Well, not me anymore. But maybe someday again. And looking forward to that. In the meantime, you shake it for me, okay? And so on and so forth. What are we even doing? What role models do we even have? How much do we lie to ourselves, to one another, to... So, personal freedom and the courage to live authentically through expression, art, and innovation. So, expression, self-expression. No longer step out of the dichotomy of punishment and reward. Do not fear possible feedback. Do not just channel it through. It will find its way through walls, through out of prisons, through... It pierces through absolute... Imagine you're in Matrix and it's energy. The more raw and authentic and the more you tapped into that, just do it. Let it flow through you. Release expectations, the fears, the outcome, personal or anyone else's. So the collective becomes stronger through diversity. We don't need this. The equality that they've presented is absolute bullshit, and now we realize it. Each act of self-honesty becomes a ripple of revolution, reshaping humanity toward truth, inclusion, and creative liberation. Inclusion as we are, not that we have to fake, mold ourselves, become something that we're told we need to be in order to fit somewhere. We don't have to. Much like in nature, everything will fit exactly where it's supposed to. And creative liberation. So get creative out there. For many, it's uncomfortable, it's terrifying. Don't be. Look, we're doing it as well. And we're not promising great rewards, just freedom. As old systems dissolve, individuality takes center stage. Genuine individuality within collective dichotomy. That's to be almost as if we were a tribe. Almost as if but we're back to the old organizing system in natural in a natural kind of hierarchical order. Whereas there's the fool of the village, and the children are all raised by the entire village, and there's the elderly, there's the seer, there's the healer, there's the madman of the village, or the fool, if you want, in the tarot, and there's the courageous and the youngster, and there's the good of all, jack of all trades, and the resilient and the gentle and the kind and the innocent, and the problem of the village, the problematic, the one that needs to be kept. But they still manage to work together in a natural order of things, precisely because they're diverse. That's what granted us as human the possibility to overcome pretty much anything together. If we're alike, we cannot do so. We become easily ruled. Universal income is yet another tool to do that. We'll just give you something, but that means we're going to take something for it. If you want free money, we're going to give it to you. You want safety, security, we're going to give it to you. Bare minimum, just sit there. But we're going to direct what you think, where you go, what you eat. If you want to make that deal, fine. That's their new world order. Ours is a whole different matter altogether. And we always have that choice. You cannot blame the devil either. So, peace be upon you. And let's look. I'm gonna go straight to this one. Okay. Aries, your challenge is the 9 of Swords. Stressing or overstressing about things that are not relevant anymore. I feel you're coming into an era where you truly no longer care. You're no longer controlled by anyone else's validation, opinion of you, or criticism of you, or you're going to leave most of your social circle or environment behind. You're ready for a fresh start. Taurus, a 2 of Cups in reverse. You're realizing that you are incompatible with relationships as you envision them. Your perception of love definitely needs to change. And you as well need to start all over again. And you may need some time all on your own for the time being. Gemini, you've reached the completion of a successful pursuit of either wealth, whatever you define as security, social standing, etc. And just let it happen. New beginnings for you as well. I see adventure. I see really going all the opposite, 180s here. But not even. I see you starting all over again. And everything crumbling around you. It's an inevitable new beginning for you. And that means changing jobs, work, quality of life, countries, continents, and you're gonna go all the way out there. You're gonna take this actually as finally opportunity for liberation. I've been there, lived that, achieved that, conquered that. It's fine, let it come down. We're just gonna. So it's an adventurous kind of less strategizing, less control, less fakery, less lying to yourself or others, less just living freely, transparently, and beautiful energy for you. Gemini, it comes at a price, of course, but the cycle is completely over. Don't resist it, though I don't feel you will. Cancer, you have some important decisions to make. You may have manifested this social circle and even partners and that you connected with in very toxic patterns of victimhood, of overspending, of being consumed by pursuit for material wealth, luxuries, etc., at the expense of what truly matters to you, people, affections, and so on. So how long are you going to betray yourself? Are you really willing to, keep those people around, knowing that they've turned you into something that you absolutely do not want to be? And you seem to be the one suffering the most because of it. So in major changes for you. How do the people in your life influence you? Choose better people. Leo, a victory of some sort. Your heart is blasted open by some form of the purest, highest forms of love, newfound faith, and the Chariot. You had 2 cards, and victory. You will feel as if you have fulfilled or achieved a purpose that's gonna benefit the whole. Whatever it is that you were aspiring to achieve here was never intended for your own sake alone. It may appear as such from the outside, ambition, pursuit, but it does elevate. So you will be brought to the forefront or acknowledged as one of the actual leaders that has been working hard in the background, self-made, self-built, all with healthy, genuine, strong principles that finally achieve something that is meant to benefit the collective. It is love. This is empathy and compassion, the very compassion we were speaking about. And you're absolutely elated because of it. Success. We're grateful for your service. So things are only going to unfold from here on. Just, again, learn to delegate, which will be a bit of your challenge, and accept the people sent your way to help you move this to the next level. Now it needs to expand, basically, right? Move on to the next change. It's stable. The foundations are strong. It's just, it needs to expand now. It needs to reach others and so on. You were a trendsetter or a waymaker of some sort. It's revolutionary what you've achieved here. Even though it may stem from the old system, the foundations are the corrected ones. Truth, authenticity, principles and values, and so on. Community, beautiful, justice, and so on. Virgo. New beginnings, courageous adventures for you. Investing, you're going to take some chances and some risks. You're willing to try something entirely new. You may have been stuck in procrastination, and I feel you're ready to explore, to expand, to do something in a different manner, even if that means what you perceive to be taking chances. This is proper investment, incredible generosity, because it's going to benefit others as well. It's a bestowal energy. So you're planting seeds that will later on grow. And again, you're doing it in a whole new, with a different intention, a new mentality, a new vision. And obviously you're going to do it based or building up, much like Leo, on something that was already there. So you've reached a level, whereas expansion and growth and change and innovation is also required for you. You need updates, all for the good, for the better here. Libra. Libra, 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 the Page of Pentacles in reverse. You will need to ask help in a practical sense. You're not supposed to be that practical after all. It doesn't mean you're not capable. It doesn't speak anything about your value. But that's not what you're all about. You don't deal with money, bureaucracy at this time. No. You're meant to channel some vision, ideas, or even work on something, but not be responsible for when it comes to how those resources are spent, where they come from, or you need some form of a free hand or constant flow of resources in order for you to channel and manifest what you're supposed to at this time. So put your ego on the side, accept help if it comes towards you, otherwise seek for it. The resources will not come from you, but to you. Do you understand? And careful about over-giving, because it's most likely how we all got ourselves in this situation, giving to the wrong people and so on. Was it wrong? No. What's done, as we say here, let it be done for good. But it's time you learn to receive resources that you will put to good use. Everything we receive is a means to an end. We here are a means to an end. Everything needs to be a means to an end. If you perceive it that way, then you should no longer be feeling guilty or ashamed if you do receive money, resources, someone's time, skills, abilities, contribution to any capacity. Use it. Focus. You have a vision, it's time you work on it. And if you lack the resources, I don't want to hear it. You're not going to have them, but you're going to be receiving them. If you can get over the fact that someone will have to be playing a major role when it comes to providing the resources or the means for you to be able to channel something into the birth, something into the world. Your purpose at this point is dependent on someone else's willingness to support you. Don't work with those who cannot do so. It's that simple for you. And learn to receive resources that will be incoming from you. You may also have new partners, so associates, and so they bring maybe the resources and the money or the experience to some capacity. You have the vision, the intellectual capacity to analyze or interpret or apply said vision and so on. The experience, the wisdom, the skills. Just do it. Do whatever it takes. Get over the ego that tells you, no, I don't want anyone to. Scorpio. Scorpio, of weakness and vulnerability is revealed to you. You're going to have to learn to work with your weaker side, the vulnerable. Don't worry, you're not going to be hurt. Sag, finally managing to break out, to face inner enemies, such as that may translate as either addiction, patterns, habits, actions, tendencies. You're getting a hold over that. You really want to heal. Well done. Healing for you. Defeating the enemy within. Capricorn, 3 of Cups, learning to love and focusing more on what truly matters. In this case, family, connections, relationships, affection, love. So possible births, reunions, celebrations, festivity, meeting other your loved ones, just vibing, holidays and so on. Great times for you. Aquarius, the lovers in reverse. At this point, you're going to be no one's partner, and I feel you kind of starting to see that, and you seem to be fine with that. You're not at least gonna, you're probably gonna hold yourself back at this point from hurting other possible prospect partners with false promises or allowing them to think that they could ever be in your life, because it's not true. You're not meant to be in relationships, and I think you're starting to own that. Pisces, 6 of Swords. You're starting to get more control over your mind, whereas you may have been lost in fantasy, deception, lies, illusion, because of intense emotions that you couldn't process rationally, and therefore you were losing your shlit all over the place. You're finally trying to find, so you're either meditating, returning to faith, to source, to spirit, literally, allowing yourself to be guided, walking in some faith. You are returning to faith. It's exactly what we need you to be. Introspection, serenity, connection with your higher self, receiving the Holy Spirit, rebirth of some sort that starts to give you some clarity. You need to move away, yes, from conflict, inner, outer. You just gotta move away. It's that stage for you. A whole new chapter. You're entering your high priestess era, Pisces. Thankfully. Hallelujah. Soft, gentle, loving, compassionate, truthful, honest. A visionary, of course. Able to see through deception, the veils, but also very wise and careful and responsible with what she conveys unto others. Up until now, you may have spilled